Okay, this is going to be my nerdy video where I talk about the newest statement that came out from NCTE, the National Council for Teachers of English. I loved it, I freaked out about it, and I want to go over some parts of it. Gonna nerd out, so if you'd like to nerd out with me, stick around, we're gonna go through it. Hi, I'm Robin Mellum, children's book author with HarperCollins and Disney Hyperion, and I'm also a middle school teacher. I teach writing. I have a program that I have created to share with other teachers how I revamped my writer's workshop program completely after I became an author and then came back to the classroom. There was so much that I learned from my editors, some stuff that I was even teaching incorrectly, and I wanted to mimic my workshop. I wanted it to really reflect real life authors and the systems and the things that we use, because there were some things that we'd been taught as teachers are a good idea to teach our writers. But once I started getting into the trenches of it and I looked at some of the research, some of it doesn't actually really add up. So now my program is super focused on my writers and in their routines and then specific skills that will get them to where they need to go. So a couple of weeks ago, I saw that NCTE came out with a new statement on writing, their philosophy of it. And there were some things in there that stood out, and I just was like, yes! And I ran around and I posted it. You guys may have seen it. I posted on Instagram, Facebook, and all that. I was super excited. So we're going to move into the nerdy part of our video. I have it up on my screen, and then I even put parts of it into a Google Doc that I love so much and kind of highlighted. I wanted to show you the things that are parallel to what I put in this program and the things that we are doing as teachers with each other right now, this very minute by, teaching each other through videos on our own. That's kind of where they got to with it, and I was so amazed. So stick around. I'm going to take you to my screen and we'll go through it. Okay, so the NCTE statement is at ncte.org/statement on writing instruction in school. And this is their position statement. It came out August 29th. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but there are parts of it that I will read to you because, again, we're nerding out. There's the overview of it. Then they give their statement. And I'll pull out the parts that I wanted to highlight for you guys. The challenges that this brings to us for authentic and culturally sustaining writing instruction. We're being faced with, it's just a big issue. The type of writing instruction that we give now has huge impact on their lives and our lives. And then how we are having a test-driven curriculum. So we're going to talk about that. Those consequences for our student writers because of that. And then more consequences of student writers and their recommendations. So I pulled out a couple of things in here that really stood out to me, and I put them on a Google Doc like a goober. Okay, I am going to read some of this to you, and then I highlighted some phrases that I want you to think about and comment on down below, please. So it starts here where it says, writing is an important form of self-expression and communication, as well as a tool for thinking, reflecting, and learning. Its use as a process, a practice, and a product is essential in the classroom and beyond. However, in school settings, writing is often perceived and enacted as a gatekeeping device, and it contributes to achievement gaps and other inequities. And I'll get into a minute, like what does that mean? But this happens when our writing instruction and assessments focus on the writing, the products that are ultimately assessed and evaluated, rather than on the writers themselves. I love that line because that's kind of where I went with the whole program that I was putting together, was like, how do we look at them as writers? How do we give them these skills so that they see themselves as writers and having a meaningful contribution to our society based on like who they are? And then look at this. The National Council for Teachers of English, 74, supports students' right to their own language, to the dialect that expresses their family and community identity, The idiolect that expresses their unique personal identity. That's voice. That's why it's my number one skill that I teach. We come back around to it. I don't ever give up on it. We do it over and over and over. NCTE advocates for writing instruction that builds on student strengths, that values their many ways of using language, voice, that promotes a broad view of what constitutes text, promotes young people's voices and purposes for writing within authentic contexts. The recommendations that follow aim to help administrators and policymakers support quality writing instruction and cultivate authentic and culturally sustaining conceptions of writing in schools and beyond. This is huge. Now, they said it out loud, the things we've been thinking and couldn't figure out how to say this, and they did it for us. Writing instruction often mirrors test preparation. So how many of you are feeling that way, that we are getting such a push on making sure we have these constructive responses in these 5-paragraph essays and this and this and this. And in that, we are having our students fill in templates and following formulas rather than making important and intentional decisions about writing for authentic audiences purposes. So it's that thing that I talked about in my other video, when we have these graphic organizers and we just hand them out to them, like, here, do this, you need to do it, here, do this. That doesn't happen when they're at a test. Someone doesn't walk up and tell them what to do. They have to start making these, decisions themselves on where to go next with this. And it focuses exclusively on the production of first and final drafts, less scope for an elaborated writing process. Okay, here's where I freaked out, and I actually meant to bold this right here, this guy's name. When I was writing my guidebook, I was thinking, like, how did they used to teach writing, like, in the 70s? Like, what did they do? And I don't know where I found that, but I went back and I found this research from Appleby, and he was talking about the process that we use, where we focus on these, like, strict, like, pre-writing, writing, drafting, blah, 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 those posters that we have, and how it doesn't allow for, like, this natural flow of how sometimes our writing, we can write the first draft and it's not even a first draft, it's their final draft. They just need to fix it. Sometimes it takes a longer time and it's a bumpy road and they need to go at it again and come at it from a different angle and all that kind of stuff. And if we're kind of like trapping them into this box of, well, where does your name fall on that chart up on the wall? It doesn't feel good. So my program takes us away from, like, you must be here on one of these steps by this date, and it opens it up a little bit, which can be kind of scary feeling, I know, but it's not as daunting as it may sound. Okay, many K-12 educators feel a lack of efficacy. That's what I was just talking about in regard to teaching student writers. It's hard. Like, what do I say? What do I do if I'm not going to, go through this whole thing? Then how do I do this? And so what happens, we have teachers who need to know how to do this. And this leads to the purchase and implementation of pre-packaged writing programs, often perpetuating the issues inherent in most standardized assessments of writing and composition. So it's like this, we are on a wheel. We have these tests that we say they need to do, and we have these companies who are putting out these writing programs that say we can help them with the test. And now we're in this little wheel, and we aren't thinking beyond that into society, into, like, developing these people. These kids really are the future. They really are. They're going to be our artists, our writers, our screenplay writers, our directors. They're going to be doing surgery on us. Like, all of these things that they need to learn how to do is not something that's just a 5-paragraph essay for the rest of their lives. It's just not. So here are the consequences. If the writing instructions focus on standardized tests fail to prepare a culturally diverse population of students for college and career writing that they'll be asked to do, more broadly to cultivate diverse communities of capable and engaged writers who write for their own purposes. So that's the whole like, what I'm focusing on is capable. Like, you have all the skills you need. I'm going to teach you how to make the decisions you need to make in your own writing. And then I'm going to help you love writing. That's my goal. When students cannot envision authentic purposes for writing or are not invited to make choices about their own writing, they can become disengaged in school-based writing. We've seen that, right? K-12 schools often promote limited and narrow notions of what good writing is. Good or legitimate is almost equated with that exclusively so-called academic form of writing, the analytical essay, the research paper. And often when we go and we look for information on writing, we look on any site anywhere, it's like, well, here's an informational one, an argumentative one, and a narrative one. And we have these three things, and we have all these graphic organizers, and we get through them, and then we go. Well, if that's not what's going to produce really good writers and kids who in the future have confidence in who they are and expressing themselves, how do we get there? It actually says at the end. It's pretty cool. They're disengaged. Many professional I highlighted this whole one here. Many professional development opportunities related to teaching writing focus more on the teaching of products and forms, that writing, than they do on building students' decision-making processes as writers. So just focusing on the product rather than the writer is not getting us anywhere. So here's a recommendation. I want to show you these two things, and I'll wrap up my nerdiness here. Here's what they say. Respect and value teachers' professional expertise and knowledge of student writers and classroom practice. Invite teachers to contribute their knowledge and expertise to decisions about writing, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Amen. Amen. We know what's working and what's not working. Let us start talking to each other. Let us share what is working in the classroom and kind of go from there. I don't know how we can do it in a bigger picture, but we're doing it right here on YouTube. We're doing it ourselves in our Facebook groups. We're going to take this in our own hands and figure this out. Invest in professional learning opportunities that allow teachers to learn together, share practices, and build knowledge collaboratively with one another. While professional development workshops may be useful, teachers benefit from spending time in ongoing inquiry communities. That's where we are. I am glad that you guys are here, that you're interested in this and how to teach writing, that you're in Facebook, that you're on Instagram, you're asking questions, looking for more. So follow along with these videos. I'm going to break down how I do all of this. This is what I focus on. I'm focusing on making choices, creating writers who are confident, who can move forward with their own voice and their own identity. Okay, thanks for watching my nerdy bit of a video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.